Lieutenant Joe Kenda is hunting for a predator.
Somebody just went crazy when they started stabbing him.
He was found stabbed multiple times.
But this investigation is riddled with more questions than answers.
Were you working here last night?
The crime just doesn't know what happened.
It's the ultimate nightmare. You've got a Yankee Stadium full of suspects.
Next, please.
And everybody's got a story. Everybody.
It's the coldest of cold cases, but Lieutenant Kenda refuses to give up.
We have the evidence. We know that you did it.
I didn't do anything to him.
People would always ask me, why do you care about this guy? Don't say that to me. No one gets to play God. No one gets to decide who lived, find who did this to you, no matter how long it takes. I wasn't smarter than anybody else. I was just more stubborn.
It's a sleepy Sunday morning in Colorado Springs. At the Amarillo Motel on the city's west side, all is calm and quiet.
It's not a bad part of town at all. As a matter of fact, it's really kind of a pretty old part of town. It provided a place to live for people who had a very limited income.
Shortly, a custodian begins wheeling a cart full of clean linen from room to room.
Housekeeping, towels.
But when he gets to room 125, he notices something strange.
He opened the door, kind of looked inside.
Hey, buddy.
The staff there looked in on him and, he was propped up against a couch. They thought that he'd been drinking and was just passed out.
The custodian moves in for a closer look.
Discovered that he was dead as a doornail. There was blood everywhere.
He flees the room and immediately calls 911. Across town, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is getting in a morning jog when his pager lights up. It's from dispatch.
When that rings in my line of work, the rest of my world's... The West Side was the first neighborhood that existed in Colorado Springs. So you have a low level of criminal activity that's fairly constant, but it's not very serious.
But as soon as Kenda rolls up to the Amarillo Motel and steps into room 125, he knows the crime scene is as serious as it gets.
Where's the money? Hey!
There's obvious signs of a struggle. Furniture's knocked over. There is blood everywhere. And our victim is soaked in blood. He has been multiply stabbed in the chest.
Do we know who he is?
Yeah, the victim's name is Eric Houston.
He had just moved into that motel.
It looks like a possible robbery. Something's missing.
As we continue to look around, we see broken stereo wires where something has been pulled away. So we have theft of probably some type of electronics. There's a bottle of vodka sitting on the table that's still standing there. The cap is off. There's some of it missing.
After sending the vodka off to be fingerprinted, Kenda orders the body to be bagged and tested. He then turns his attention to the blood evidence, which in this case speaks volumes.
In some knife cases where a person's stabbed multiple times, as the arm is swinging back or away, there's cast off of the blood from the knife.
In addition, Kenda notices a series of perfectly round red droplets throughout the room.
We find a great deal of blood evidence in this place that's gravity bleeding. And what I mean, dropping from a wound. And it's in the sink, and it's close to the body of the victim.
The gravity bleeding provides Kenda with some telling information about the crime and the killer.
Whoever did this got cut.
If you're fighting with somebody struggling and you're using a knife as a weapon, and should that knife become blood covered and your hand become blood covered, obviously it's...
The stabber's hand will often slip down the knife, cutting his hand seriously because he's busy attacking this person with great force. That drop bleeding is coming out of that suspect wound.
What'd you find?
Looks like we've got gravitation bleeding.
While CSIs gather samples of the killer's blood, Kenda has his men
Medical centers have to be on the lookout for anyone with any lacerations, especially on their hands.
It is a routine when you discover or you believe that your perpetrator is hurt. You contact all the hospitals, asking all of these places to notify you if someone comes in with this kind of entry.
As the calls go out to local hospitals, Kenda steps out back to survey the exterior of the Amarillo motel.
This motel, a great number of years, it's an old building, multi-storied, rooms on both sides.
I talked to the hotel manager?
Yeah, office is just over there.
Kenda knows many of the Amarillo's low-income residents are wary of police.
Yes.
Do you have a manager on duty?
Yes, we do.
So he starts by questioning the motel's manager.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
How you doing? I'm Detective Kenda. Can you tell me a little bit about Eric Houston?
Sure. He was one of our tenants here.
Is he the only one registered with the room?
Just him.
Motel was concerned. Eric was a model tenant.
Was he close to anyone here, or have any friends?
I believe he was close with a guy named Jimmy McDonald.
Can you take us to his room?
Of course. Here we are.
All right, we'll take it from here. Thank you. How you doing? You Jimmy?
Yes, I am.
I'm Detective Kenda. Are you friend?
Jimmy works with Eric, and they seem to be pretty good friends.
Sorry, I have some bad news for you. Eric was murdered last night.
He's very upset about the fact that his friend is dead.
Is it possible I can come inside and talk to you about it for a minute?
Fighting back tears, Jimmy invites Lieutenant Kenda into his room.
Why don't you run outside and see if the uniform's found anything?
Yeah, sure thing.
Can you tell me how you knew Eric?
We worked together.
So, what do you know about Eric?
He was a good guy. Came from a good, loving home.
Jimmy explains that while Eric grew up in a loving family, tragedy struck at an early age.
His brother and he were sent by his mom to a local grocery store. On the way there, he was hit by a car.
Injuries that put him in the hospital for weeks.
He had severe head injuries, which resulted in him having a limited mental capacity.
Unable to focus in school and unable to hold down steady work, Eric found himself living on the street as an adult. As he learned to cope with his disability, Eric's luck began to improve.
Eric was very outgoing and friendly and actually a very pleasant person to have along with everybody.
Eventually, Eric landed a job with Goodwill Industries polishing floors. The gainful employment and steady paycheck further bolstered his confidence.
Everybody said that he was someone who was very dependable, would come to work early.
Jimmy McDonald tells Kenda it was at Goodwill where he and Eric became close friends, but not everyone had Eric's best interests at heart.
People took advantage of him.
Eric, because of his mental capabilities at the time, did not make some of the greatest choices in the people he associated with.
Every payday, he would go to the liquor store and buy liquor, and he would bring it back and share it with everybody. Everybody that lived here, he would share it with.
It don't matter if he drinking, he gonna get some more. It's all good. It's all good. As long as y'all having fun, that's all that matters.
Can you think of anyone that might have had a problem with him?
I can't think of anybody.
Well, I appreciate your help. If you can think of anything at all, feel free to give me a call.
Sure.
What do you got?
Looks like the murder weapon.
Where'd they find it?
Officers outside found it on parking lot.
We find a kitchen knife soaked in blood. We assume this is our weapon.
Once the knife is tagged, Kenda personally delivers,
I got a possible murder weapon. I wanted to check it and see if it matched the wounds.
who quickly ascertains that it is indeed the murder weapon.
Very consistent with the wounds.
But that's not all he discovers.
27 stab wounds, puncture of both lungs, heart, liver, spleen.
Eric Stanley Houston was stabbed 27 times in the chest with a very large knife. To see someone blitz at her 27 stab wounds to the central chest, this is someone who's in a frenzy at the time they're doing this. They're absolutely frantic with rage.
What was his time of death?
between 10 p.m. and midnight.
The coroner's findings suggest Eric was murdered roughly 12 hours before his body was discovered.
Blood alcohol above 0.20.
So he was highly intoxicated.
Oh, yeah.
His blood alcohol is well over 0.2 during this entire episode.
Anything in his pockets?
When the coroner hands the meager possessions over, one item catches Kenda's eye.
There's a receipt in his pocket from a liquor store that's less than a block from where he lives. It's dated the prior evening at 8:51 p.m. And the receipt says it's a bottle of vodka. That's what's on the table. And he's got a receipt in his pocket that he bought it an hour before he
Trip to the liquor store hold the key to his murder? In an effort to answer that question, Kenda heads to the store to interview the clerk.
Excuse me, sir.
Hi.
I'm Detective Kenda. Were you working here last night?
Yes, I was.
Do you know if an Eric Houston came in?
Yeah, Eric came in and bought a bottle.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Eric.
The guy does remember because Eric is a regular.
You doing all right?
I am about to go on.
That sounds like fun.
Was he by himself?
He was by himself. There was another guy out in the car.
When that clerk tells us he got into a car that someone else was driving, and it's an hour before the time frame of his death, whoever is driving that car is now the focus of our attention. Who is this guy?
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is on the case, trying to solve it. A young man who was stabbed 27 times in the motel room he called home.
He fought for his life, and it wasn't enough. He was overcome and murdered. It is an evidence of incredible violence that most people never see.
What Kenda can't figure out is who would want to murder a young man like Eric Houston. In speaking with a liquor store clerk, he's learned another crucial bit of information.
Excuse me, sir.
Was.
Hey, how you doing?
He came in the store and he bought the bottle, and I kind of spoke to him.
You doing all right?
Hey, Eric, what's happening? And Eric said, me and my buddy are going to have a few drinks. I watch him walk out, and I see him get in a car, and there's another guy driving, and the car pulled away.
Is that the right time? About 8:50?
Yep, that's about the time.
The clerk's statement places Eric Houston with this mystery man just hours before Kenda his first solid lead.
So now I have our victim in contact with an individual an hour before the time frame of his murder begins.
Just then, Kenda's radio crackles with more big news, this time from the crime lab.
Go ahead for Kenda.
There are bloodstains of what we believe is from a suspect. They do the blood work, and they determine there are two different blood types. Our man is hurt, and our man is the second blood type.
Lab techs have also tested the vodka bottle found at the scene for fingerprints.
Do they match our victim? No, they're not Eric's prints. Now, this is a bottle he's only had for an hour before he dies. So whoever took a drink is most likely the one that killed him.
It's a telling bit of information, but one that doesn't translate to a concrete suspect.
We didn't have the automated fingerprint identification programs and computers that we have now. There was a chance, a remote chance, if you had a fingerprint, you really wanted to do an FBI check.
They have at any given moment 50 million sets of fingerprints. But there are 330 million or so people in this country. So we seem to be missing a few. Like, say, 260 million.
Undaunted, Kenda circled, questioning anyone who was there the night before.
You stay here?
Yeah.
You know Eric Houston?
Yeah, I know him.
Simultaneously, he dispatches detectives into the streets of the city's west side.
Can I ask you a couple of questions real quick, please?
Did you know Eric Houston?
Have you ever heard of an Eric Houston? Do you know Eric Houston?
Eric Houston was known to associate with a lot of different people, and some of those people had criminal backgrounds.
He's 32 years old, but mentally he is a kid. And all of these are a who's who of criminals on the west side of Colorado Springs who take advantage of him, and he permits it because he thinks they're his friend. Because of his circumstances, he's unable to assess the sincerity of people and their friendship.
Interviewing Eric's connections to the city's criminal fringe proves daunting.
Anyone in particular I think I should talk to?
No, I can't give you any names.
I think his name...
The individual we talked to about Eric Houston provided a lot of different plausible explanations for his death, leading us in a lot of different directions.
It's the ultimate nightmare. You've got a Yankee Stadium full of suspects, and everybody's got a story. Everybody. We talked to the friends and neighbors. Well, it was a retaliation over a burglary he was involved in. Oh, no, it wasn't that. He plays his music too loud. No, he drinks too much, and he wouldn't share that whiskey with people. And on, after motive, after suspect, after suspect.
With every interview either a dead end or a work of fiction, Kenda decides to pay Eric's friend, Jimmy McDonald, another visit and press him for additional information.
Hey, Jimmy. How
Hey,
you doing?
Detective, how you doing?
May I talk to you for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
We're still working on finding out who killed Eric. Is there anyone you can think of at all that maybe he didn't get along with, or maybe, he was having mentioned?
Within minutes, he hits pay dirt.
Well, yeah, there's this one guy he was telling me about.
Jimmy McDonald has heard a little bit of a confrontation between a person and our victim in the recent past.
Said they had an argument and the guy got mad and the guy threatened to stab him.
He actually said that he threatened to stab him?
Yeah, that's what Eric told me.
Who's that? Well, it's this guy named Stanley Johnson.
You have an individual saying they're going to end up being stabbed to death.
It's the break Kenda has been looking for. He orders his men to dig up dirt on Stanley Johnson. In a matter of hours, they unearth a huge nugget of intel.
We discover that Stanley Johnson is the guy driving the car at the liquor store. It's Stanley's car, and he's behind the wheel. There's bad blood on occasion between he and... Great. This could be our guy. This could truly be our guy.
Thanks to a tip from a man named Jimmy McDonald, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has set his sights on one Stanley Johnson, the new prime suspect in the brutal stabbing death of 32-year-old Eric Houston.
Jimmy McDonald has heard a little bit of a confrontation between a person he identified as Stanley Johnson and our victim in the recent past.
He said he was really mad at Eric, and he was going to stab him.
By having his men pound the pavement, Kenda has determined that Stanley Johnson drives a car identical to the one Eric Houston was seen in just prior to his murder.
So, here we are. We've got Stanley. He wants to kill Eric. He says he's going to stab him to death, and he's with him an hour before somebody does stab him to death. Close enough for me. Let's bring Stanley in and see what he's got to say for himself.
Why don't you tell me how you know Eric Houston?
He immediately says, look, I'm friends with Eric. Sometimes I'm enemies with him. We have words.
We would argue with each other. He threatened me, I threatened him. Nothing really happened.
It's all just talk. I never hurt him. I didn't do this. Deny, deny, deny.
Well, you did drive him to the liquor store the other night?
Yeah, I drove him to the liquor store.
We went over to the liquor store, and I was driving
The bottle.
And so I took him back to his motel, and I dropped him off.
Did you go in the motel?
No.
Where'd you go?
I went to a separate party.
You got people there that'll verify that?
Absolutely.
You were there the whole time?
The whole time.
All right. Give me their names and numbers.
Gives us names, gives us an address, times.
Can I check on those? Sure. So if you had nothing to do with this, you won't mind giving us your finger?
I do. I had nothing to do with this.
He's consenting to it. He's not resisting it because he said, I didn't do anything. He's not afraid of the police. He's not nervous about the police. He's been in jail before. He knows what that's about. But the fact that we're accusing him of killing his friend, that made him mad.
Left hand, please.
There is the possibility the suspect could be bluffing. So while the fingerprints and blood samples are being analyzed, Kenda turns up the heat on Stanley.
What happened?
We have the evidence. We know that you did it. This is your chance to tell us why you did it.
I didn't do anything to him.
We're having a wonderful time. Until my lab man knocks on the door.
All right, what do we got?
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing?
I mean nothing. The blood doesn't match, the prints don't match, nothing.
It's not his prints. It's not his blood either. Oh, crap.
Fingerprints at this point did not match Stanley Johnson's. The ones that were recovered are actually different than the blood type we found at the scene.
In addition, eyewitness accounts confirm that Stanley Johnson was at a house party at the time of the crime. Kenda has no choice but to release him.
Now at this point, although we have a lot of reasonable suspicion, that's been shot by the fact that we now have physical evidence that is not going to tie him directly to our crime scene. It indicates that somebody else is the actual suspect in the case.
All this work, all this effort, and he's not the guy. Wellmew in this work? It's like, oh, God. Now what? Now who is the guy?
With no other concrete leads, Kenda and his team expand their investigation beyond the city's west side.
We start talking to everybody who's ever known Eric, any name that those people produce. We're checking blood, we're checking fingerprints, we're checking alibis, we're checking. In sum, over a long period of time, we talked to and looked at 42 different individuals who might have been involved in this crime.
Next, please.
In what's become a cattle call of an investigation, each of the 42 individuals is brought into the station and asked to give samples to test against the fingerprints and blood evidence collected at the crime scene.
Next.
None of the fingerprints or a match isn't definitive.
Of those 42 people, about 25% of them match the general blood type. But blood examination at that time in the late 1980s was based on antigen levels of human blood. They could put you in a population of, say, 3 million people that would have that blood type and that combination of antigens. 1 of 3 million. Well, what good is that?
But Kenda refusing yet another friend of Eric's on the street. A familiar name resurfaces.
Anyone in particular?
You know anything about Arthur?
What's Arthur's last name?
Anaya, I think.
One of the people we're talking to says, what about Arthur Anaya?
They actually had Arthur Anaya's name very early on from some informants who were unwilling to come forward, said they'd heard some street talk.
Arthur Anaya is a name Kenda and his men know all too well.
Arthur, extensive criminal history with the police department and other agencies, to include some crimes of violence, property crimes, and other things like that.
If you ranked people as bad people, he'd be right at the top of the list. Arthur Anaya is a Hispanic male, hard as nails. A criminal record measured in pounds rather than pages.
And according to Kenda's newest source, Arthur in his motel room on more than one occasion.
So we get his parole officer to round up Arthur and bring him in.
Arthur, what do you know about Eric Houston's murder?
Who's Eric Houston?
When we first begin,
Don't know the guy.
he not only doesn't know who Eric is, he's not even sure his name is Arthur Anaya.
Let me explain something to you. You can either help him, or you can leave right now from here and go straight back to the penitentiary.
When his parole on, well, okay, I do know Eric.
I don't know who killed him. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you anyways.
So this conversation goes absolutely nowhere.
Given Arthur Anaya's criminal record, Kenda has enough probable cause to collect fingerprint and blood samples. But the results are inconclusive.
All we could say is his blood type was consistent or similar to the type of the potential suspect.
The bottle. And we have nothing. We have no one saying he said this, he did that. We just have him knowing Eric. So we let him go.
With no other leads, the case once again grows cold.
When cases start to go cold, people on the street lose interest in Eric. The street goes quiet. Nobody has any more opinions to offer. Nobody wants to finger anybody.
Days turn into weeks. Years pass, and Kenda is no closer to solving the case than the day Eric Houston died.
These kinds of cases would eat at me, just eat at me.
The case went cold for quite a period of time. If you really want that one lead or that break in a case,
I would sit in my office and talk to him like he could hear me. You know, Eric, I'm doing everything I can here. We're not giving up. We're not going away.
Finally, on a warm September morning 4 years later, Kenda receives a tip. One that instantly brings this cold case to a roiling boil.
What is it?
One of my detectives comes in and says, hey, I just got off the phone with the Colorado State Patrol.
State police just picked up a hitchhiker. He says he's the guy who killed Eric Houston.
Really?
I bolted out of my chair.
Tell him we're going to send someone to come pick him up as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
Boy from heaven? Yeah, it could be a gift from heaven. Let's see.
For nearly 4 years, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has been trying to track down Eric Houston's killer. But after investigating more than 50 possible suspects, there have been no arrests and the investigation is at a standstill.
This happened in an area for which I am responsible. I'm going to find who did this to you if it's at all humanly possible. I was smarter than anybody else. I was just more stubborn.
Eventually, that stubbornness pays off.
What is it?
State troopers bringing in a guy that says he confessed Derek Houston's murder to him.
What's going on, buddy?
Just trying to catch a ride.
Can't be out here hitchhiking, right?
According to the state trooper, he'd recently stopped a hitchhiker on the side of the road. Upon questioning him, the drifter made a startling confession.
Why's that?
I killed a man.
The kid says, I have to get out of town. Why do you have to do that? Well, I murdered a guy named Eric Houston. You what?
Get him back on the phone and tell him we're going to send someone down to pick him up as soon as possible.
Go get this guy and bring him in here.
We are trying to ascertain whether or not he was actually a suspect. It's fairly unusual to have such quick, no motivation confession fall out.
No, sir.
The drifter is identified as one Mark Banks. Kenda and Detective Brian Ritz sit down to interview him.
It's Mark, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm introduced to Mark Anthony Banks. He is a male in his late 20s, pleasant enough guy.
So sorry.
He's very repentant, wants me to know that. He's very sorry for what he's done. But he's here because he can't live with his guilt any longer, and he wants to tell it.
At, the plasma center downtown.
People who are down on their luck donate their blood for money. It's a very common thing among street people that they meet their friends at the plasma center.
We basically hit it off.
Mark states that he and Eric became fast friends, often hanging out at Eric's place, room 125 of the Amarillo Motel.
That's where he stayed. That was our place. We would drink.
On to say that he went there that night, the night of the murder. He was going to have a drink with Eric. He said they got in an argument over the liquor they were drinking. He found a knife in there, and he killed Eric with it, stabbing him many times.
Mark Banks seems willing, even eager, to answer all of Kenda's questions. But Kenda senses something's not quite right.
It was routinely reported in the press for an extended period of time. Does he know this because he was there? Or does he know this because he reads the paper and watches TV?
When we're interviewing Mark Banks, obviously what we want to do is find out what he knows that's more than what the common person would have read in the paper. We want him to be able to tie the scene together completely, so we're confident that he was there.
So I ask him a critical question.
This was going on.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is, did you maybe cut your hand on a knife or hurt yourself some other way?
The fact that Eric's killer suffered a deep wound at the crime scene was never revealed to the press. Kenda and Ritz are anxious to hear Mark's response.
He was the only thing that got stabbed.
And he immediately says, I wasn't hurt. And you just feel the air go out of your lungs. It's like, no, I guess you weren't, Mark, because you weren't even...
Tech come in, take your fingerprints.
Sure.
Ultimately, Mark's fingerprint and blood type aren't a match for the samples collected from the crime scene. So why would someone confess to a murder they didn't commit?
We do some background on him. We discover he has a mental health history that is extensive. We decide that Mark probably needs his points adjusted and perhaps a tune-up. So we take him to the St. Rose Hospital on 12 South, which is the floor that deals with that sort of thing. After we release Banks, a month goes by, then another year, then another year, then a third year. I think about this all the time. Who killed you, Mary? Somebody made you dead. Who in your evil group of friends could have done that? We're out of ammunition. We have no bullet, new information from anyone.
You know, it's kind of like, well, here's a case that, after all this time, probably won't be solved.
But on a chilly spring morning in March 1995, nearly 9 years to the day after Eric Houston was murdered, Lieutenant Kenda receives a new lead.
One of my detectives comes into me and he says,
Lieutenant, we've got a case.
Really?
That caused me to sit up straight behind my desk, and I said, so how good of an informant is he?
He's as good as they come. He's from that area and knows a lot of people.
Why now? Why 9 years later? I'm suspicious already. I think here we go again, another Mark Banks.
According to the detective, his source is a man who for years made his home on the streets of Colorado Springs' west side.
How do we know he's legit? Quite a bit and knows a lot of those people.
Now that works very well.
All right, get him in here.
When the informant arrives at the station, he insists on remaining anonymous.
I'm Detective Kenda. I appreciate you coming in. I understand you have some information for us about Eric Houston's murder.
I do, yeah. Before I say anything, though, I really want to make sure that my name isn't going to get out to anybody.
That's not a problem at all.
Bunch of friends.
He says that he is having a conversation with a lifelong acquaintance within days of Eric's murder. That he and a friend of his are with this individual discussing their criminal exploits when this third person says to both of these guys,
I'm Eric Houston's killer.
Who is this guy?
His name's Arthur Anaya.
Same Arthur Anaya Kenda interrogated and collected blood and fingerprint samples from nearly a decade ago.
We talked to him, but we had nothing on him at the time.
Arthur tells both of these guys that Arthur and his good friend, Bobby Lee Chavez, decide they're going to rob Eric Houston. So they go over there to Eric's place. They confront Eric. They demand money.
I know you got it. At the table. I know you got money. Don't lie to me.
He tells him he's broke. The last thing he had money for, he just bought a bottle of vodka.
And Arthur goes off. He's got a temper on him. He just freaks out. And, Bobby takes the guy's liquor and starts drinking a bottle of his liquor.
Look, he's drinking it, man.
When Eric protested, Arthur Anaya flew into a rage. He grabbed a nearby kitchen knife and stabbed Eric with it over.
And he got cut when he did that. And it hurt. And he was trying to stop the bleeding in the sink.
According to the informant, after Arthur Anaya and Bobby Chavez realized Eric was dead, they stole his stereo and fled the scene.
Grab stereo, man.
He took his boombox and his stereo receiver. Now the press never knew that there was property missing. This guy just identified it.
And that's not the only reason Kenda likes this informant's story. It explains why the original fingerprint and blood analysis done on Arthur Anaya wasn't a complete match for the killer.
The fingerprints are not matching up. The blood type did it.
We always assumed it was one guy. He says it's two. I always assumed that the prints and the blood would be found. We asked the informant, after he told us this story, how Arthur killed Eric, why did you keep this a secret? Because Arthur looked at both of us when he realized what he'd just done, that he had confessed to a murder. And he said, if you ever tell anybody this, I will kill you and your families. They believed him.
It's the oath that's haunted Kenda for nearly a decade.
When we talked to Arthur Anaya in January of 1987, I had nothing to pressure him with. Now I'm in a different position entirely. I have a lot of information, and I'm about to get more. Where is he? He's somewhere, and I don't know where. We need to find this person.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda believes he's on the verge of solving the cold 9-year-old murder of Eric Houston, a mentally disabled man who was stabbed 27 times.
Eric's justice waited 9 years. It's time for Eric to be put to rest, and it's time for the people responsible to pay the price.
An informant has told Kenda that career criminal Arthur Anaya confessed that he and a friend, Bobby Lee Chavez, had gone to Eric's room at the Amarillo Motel to rob him.
Look at that, man. What do you got? I know you got it.
But when Eric didn't have any money, Anaya went berserk and stabbed him to death.
When we talked to Arthur Anaya before, I had no facts and no information in my possession to lead me to believe he was any more involved in this crime than anyone else. So I listened to what he had to say and we let him go because we had no option. Now I'm in a different...
It doesn't take Kenda long to track down his prime suspect.
No weapon.
Arthur is easy to arrest. He's in prison for shooting his niece. He's arrested in custody, served with a warrant for first-degree murder, advised of his rights, and he invokes. I'm not going to say a word. Well, that's okay, Arthur. You don't need to say a word, because we can say a lot of words.
With a decade of breakthroughs in forensic science on his side, Kenda is now armed with more than just the testimony of his informant.
We took new blood from him. They checked it again. Absolutely, that's him. That's his blood on the floor, on the sink. It's Arthur Wananaya's blood, and it's no one else's.
At long last, Kenda has unmasked Eric Houston's killer. But he's not through just yet. There's still this.
Did you pull it up?
Yeah, Bobby Lee Chavez.
What do we got?
We pull up his history. It's enormous. He assaults people with deadly weapons. He's been involved in shootings and stabbings and bar fights and thefts. You name it, he's done it.
All right, what we got is prints. Let's run the ones that we have over to the lab, see if we get a match.
Thanks to his lengthy rap sheet, Bobby Lee Chavez's prints are already on file.
We were able to compare them to fingerprints we found on the liquor bottle. Damn.
This is Kenda.
They call me an hour later.
It's a match?
The prints in the vodka bottle are the left index finger and left thumb of Bobby Lee Chavez.
That's fantastic news.
I almost dropped the phone. This is no longer good. It's beyond good. These are the dudes.
Yes, it's Lieutenant Kenda. I need to have arrest warrants issued.
Bobby Chavez, after the warrant was obtained, was subsequently arrested in Trinidad, Colorado, driver for a laundry company.
Armed with irrefutable DNA evidence, Arthur Anaya and Bobby Chavez are charged with first-degree murder for killing Eric Houston.
This was the first time that DNA evidence was used to solve a crime in Colorado Springs, so that's what made it an important story. And it sort of brought us into the new era of police investigation and a new way of us being able to go back in cases.
DNA was the greatest game changer in law enforcement since the invention of the fingerprint examiner. It was a remarkable way to distinguish one human from another. And more importantly, it's one human from any other. You spend 9 years of your life thinking about a case and finally getting it done. It's resolved beyond reasonable doubt, beyond any doubt.
They were violent people. They were people that, didn't care about who they took advantage of or who they possibly hurt. They had done that in the past and probably would continue to do it. They were thugs and criminals and people that should be taken off the street. And unfortunately for Eric, he was the one that brought them to justice after all those years. But they were people that needed to be brought to justice.
There's satisfaction in solving one of the most troubling murders of his career. But as he packs up the files one last time, he can't help but mourn the tragic death of a young man who battled adversity his entire life, only to see it snuffed out in the most brutal way imaginable.
It's these two guys who killed Eric Stanley Houston for the standard reason. No reason at all. For Arthur, another chapter in that week's activities. The same with Bobby Lee Chavez. It ended Eric's life, but it meant nothing to the people who took it from him. It meant something to me. And you're not going to take a life and walk away. Not if I can help it.
A member of a prominent family is found lifeless in a pool of blood.
He's been savagely beaten. There isn't any part of him.
But rumors of a secret life suggest there's more to the victim than meets the eye.
It was determined that he, in fact, was wearing women's underwear at the time of his death. There may be other secrets about his life that we don't know. If there's one, there's generally more than one.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is under pressure from the powers that be to fast-track an arrest. But his list of suspects...
We suddenly go from not knowing what happened here to having a field of suspects that might fill Yankee Stadium. This is not a good beginning to this case. Not at all. The worst thing about seeing lots and lots of violent crime is you get used to it. The coppery smell of blood, the stale smell of death. That never goes away.
On a brisk autumn morning. But employees at the Colorado Springs Sun newspaper are already in high gear.
Oh. No, I'm sorry. Remember we were going to switch you and Emily up?
Thank you.
Manager Renee Wheatley is making the rounds, ensuring everything is running smoothly.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Renee notices an undelivered stack of news. She realizes that one of her employees, a delivery man by the name of Louis Krause, hasn't reported for work.
Louis was a good-sized fella, had a little pot belly. He was a very friendly guy, and he was always very cordial, and you could tell that he was brought up with some good manners.
He was well-liked and well-known by his co-workers. He was just an all-around good person.
Fit in with his fellow employees. There was something different about him.
He was described as being somewhat mentally challenged, mentally disabled.
He seemed to have a good positive energy about him, but clearly very slow.
Louis loved his job at the newspaper. It was out of character for him to take a day off without notifying his boss.
You could count on him like you could. And so when he didn't show up, people were very concerned.
Renee Wheatley calls Louis at home, but there's no answer. Eventually, she decides to check in on him.
She went to the house and discovered that his vehicle was parked in the garage.
Louis's car might be there, but Louis himself...
She became concerned about his welfare. She contacted the Colorado Springs Police Department.
Minutes later, officers arrive at Louis's residence.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm the one that called. Lewis works for me at the newspaper, and he didn't come in. It's not like him at all.
Okay, stay right here if you don't mind, please. We'll be right back. Thanks.
Searching the detect any signs of foul play. At least at first.
Officers began to walk around the residence, and they did observe a basement window that had been taken out of the frame. They were able to look through the window and see a deceased body in the basement level of the house. There was blood on the floor, blood smeared on the walls. The homicide unit was notified to respond.
Across town, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is fighting his way through a mountain of paperwork.
Kenda.
When I first got the call, they said we found a dead body in the house, looks like a homicide. That was the initial information.
All right, I'll be right there. Thanks.
What do we got? Looks like a white male back here in the back of the house.
The victim is a 49-year-old guy, and his name is Louis Krause. There is a large amount of blood around him, and he's been dead for some time.
The officers show Kenda why they think a burglar killed Louis.
When officers respond to a house and when they see a window moved from the frame, their first instinct is burglary.
It very well could have been an unknown suspect who entered the house for the purpose of committing a burglary and confronted someone in the home and then killed him in that process.
The open window isn't the only sign of a possible burglary.
Lieutenant, we have his wallet.
Where'd you find it?
Pants pocket.
There's no money in this wallet. There is one nickel in the wallet.
The empty wallet is a potential indicator of a robbery, but the victim may have simply been out of cash. A quick check of the house should confirm or rule out the burglary theory.
Burglary is a crash and grab crime. It's get in and get out. When you come to a scene where someone says this is a burglary, your expectations are to find certain things. Dressers turned over, drawers open.
Doesn't appear to be anything missing.
None of that's true here. There's no ransacking, there's no theft from the interior, there's none of the things you normally find with a burglary. So, burglary? No.
With the robbery motive seemingly eliminated, Kenda hopes a closer examination of the body will provide some answers.
Louis is laying face down. He is naked from the waist up. There is a large amount of blood, and he's been dead for some time.
Next to Louis's lifeless body, Kenda makes a critical discovery.
There are shoe prints in the blood. These are the footprints of our killer.
Make sure you get some good pictures of the footprints. It looks like there's a chunk missing out of the shoe.
Shoe prints in and by themselves are not unique. Obviously, athletic shoe companies make millions of pairs of shoes.
But these are no ordinary shoe prints.
There is damage on one part of the left shoe. If you can find a matching shoe to that print, this is the shoe that made that print.
Once photo evidence of the shoe print has been collected, Kenda turns his attention to the victim and a possible cause of death.
Why don't you help me roll them over? We'll take a look.
Okay.
He's been savagely beaten. There isn't any part of him we can see that hasn't been hit.
Looking at Louis's hands, it attacked before ultimately losing the battle and his life.
He's got a lot of defensive moves too. Looks like he put up a fight.
Louis has bruised and bleeding knuckles. That damage usually occurs when it's skin and bone to skin and bone, meaning the face. He fought for his life, and he most likely inflicted some level of injury on the perpetrator.
Looks like his throat's been cracked.
He was punched or kicked in the throat. Is it possible they crushed his larynx and obstructed his airway?
If Louis's larynx was crushed, he likely would have suffocated to death. Kenda knows a surefire way to determine if that's the case.
There is an artifact of death called a petechial hemorrhage. There are small pinpoint marks of blood in the whites of the eyes. They are in...
Kenda finds the hallmark pattern of petechial hemorrhage in both of Louis's eyeballs.
So it says to me that the beating crushes his larynx and he can't breathe, and it kills him. I'm certainly not a doctor, but I've looked at a lot of dead people.
With the likely cause of death determined, Kenda focuses his attention on his most pressing question.
Who would...
How you doing? I'm Detective Kenda.
Kenda speaks with Louis's boss, Renee Wheatley.
When he didn't show up today, that's why I got worried.
Did he work there for a long time?
Several years, yes.
He had worked for her for years. She admired him. He was a dedicated employee, never missed a day of work, and never missed a customer with a newspaper. So he was great, as far as she was concerned.
Can you tell me about him?
He'd been doing so good. I was really proud of him.
And who was devastated by the loss of his mother. But he was, in fact, an only child and kind of lost in a way, with no one left to take care of him.
Renee informs Kenda that Louis's mother died 3 years ago. His ears perk up when Renee mentions her by name.
Betty Krause.
Betty Krause, the councilwoman?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Betty Krause was Louis's mother. She had served as a member of our city council.
Betty was widely known in the community, was a mover and shaker, one of the first women to be elected to a city council of a major city. She was an impressive woman.
Louis's mother's local fame poses a unique problem.
Even though Betty had passed away, there were great numbers of people who were very loyal to her in her memory, and that they would put pressure on me and on the police department to answer their questions.
No sooner has Kenda arrived at headquarters than that pressure begins to mount.
I was asked to come to briefings in the mayor's office, briefings to city council, one person after another calling me directly.
Yes, sir. We have all available resources working on it right now.
I mean, I understood it. They were showing a legitimate concern for their friend and their friend's dead son. But all they were really doing is interfering with my investigation.
City Hall starts to crank up. The case takes a bizarre turn.
Kenda.
Lieutenant, this is Dr. Rizzo here at the coroner's office.
The coroner reports Louis Krause died of asphyxiation, as Kenda expected. But the next thing out of the coroner's mouth comes as a complete surprise.
During the course of the autopsy, it was determined that he, in fact, was wearing women's underwear at the time of his death.
When he discovered these ladies' panties, it's not a common thing.
The coroner's finding makes Kenda wonder if there's more to Louis Krause and his murder than meets the eye.
To be a homicide detective, you need an undying sense of curiosity. He's wearing ladies' underwear. There may be other secrets about his life. We've already found one, and if there's one, there's generally more than one.
Lieutenant brutal murder of newspaper delivery man Louis Krause. But Louis wasn't your average paper boy. He was the mentally challenged son of powerful former city councilwoman Betty Krause, which forces Kenda and his team to work under an intense spotlight.
When I discover he is related to a local heroine, I didn't feel very good. Deal with someone who is a member of a prominent family, it ratchets up the intensity of interest on the part of the general public, as well as the press.
Further complicating matters, the coroner's office has just discovered a piece of evidence that suggests to Kenda that the victim was leading some sort of double life.
He wears women's underwear. When you discover in the course of any murder investigation some sort of bizarre or unusual behavior, it certainly leads you to conclude that there may be other secrets about his life that we don't know.
Wondering if something in Louis' lifestyle somehow got him killed, Kenda sends a pair of detectives back to Louis' neighborhood to learn more about him.
We, of course, talk to everyone that lives around Louis. No one knows him very well.
The neighbors say Louis mostly kept to himself, although there was one thing they had noticed.
Neighbors said that Louis going from his residence.
This is a middle-class, quiet neighborhood filled with long-term residents, most of whom were very distressed about the people they would see coming and going out of Louis' house.
What's more, many of Louis' visitors appeared to be less than upstanding citizens. Some of them were couples, some of them were single people, some of them had criminal pasts, some of them were just down on their luck or whatever. None of the neighbors can say. In search of a concrete lead, Kenda reaches out to someone who would have known Louis much better.
When Louis' mother died, she had made arrangements through the bank to provide a trust fund for Louis' care to the day of his death.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Louis. How are you?
Good, thanks.
It's always good to see you. Come on in.
Louis' account was managed by a trust officer named Jane Wilson.
To tell us about Louis as a person. She was responsible to kind of manage Louis' finances and kind of keep an eye on him at the request of the trust. She did her job very well, and she paid close attention to Louis.
Okay, all right, well, I'll see you next Friday, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
She knows him pretty well.
Hi.
Detective Kenda.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
As Louis' financial caretaker, Jane was well aware her client entertained.
After his mother Betty passed away, I was a little bit concerned about some of the company that he kept.
According to Jane, Louis met lots of odd characters while working his job.
Well, he had a paper route that was from midnight till 5 a.m., so he didn't come across the best people.
We know that Louis was a special needs guy. He would meet people on the street when he was delivering his papers out of a sense of kindness or lonely with him, and they didn't have to pay rent.
So these people were actually living with him?
Mm-hmm. They would live with him and exchange for work around the house. I don't think he ever actually did any work around the house, but I think that was his expectation.
Jane Wilson tells Kenda that more often than not, Louis' house guests abused his generosity.
She felt that because of his disability, he was an easy target to be taken advantage of.
Fish us up?
No, thanks. I shouldn't smoke those.
You got that right.
They're staying in his house. They're taking his money. They're riding around in his car. Maybe his circumstances, his diminished mental capacity is such that he can't judge when someone's taking advantage of him. but he often got in disputes with them and accused them of stealing money from him.
But despite their freeloading, Louis refused to part company with his questionable friends, go to extremes in order to protect Louis' finances.
Ready for your money this week?
Yes, please.
Yeah?
She restricted how much cash she gave him at any one time. She was concerned that if she provided to him in too large of quantities, somehow these street people that he seemed to befriend would wind up with the money.
Since Jane Wilson seems to know Louis as well as anybody, Kenda goes out on a limb.
When Lewis was wearing a pair of women's pink underwear. Do you know anything about that?
He was a cross-dresser.
So he was a transvestite.
Okay. Was he homosexual? No. He wasn't homosexual. He was just a transvestite. He would deliver his newspapers dressed as a woman.
Could Louis' alternative lifestyle have drawn the ire of one of his house guests?
Do you know anyone we might want to talk to that could have information that might help us out?
No, I wish I had more.
With nothing but a group of anonymous, unidentified suspects to work with, the investigation is stuck in first gear.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But on his way back to headquarters,
Go ahead for Kenda.
Kenda gets word from one of his men, who's tracked down a promising lead.
A co-worker of Louis gives us a guy whose name is Jerry Baca, has threatened Louis in the past.
According to the co-worker, Jerry Baca was a frequent guest at Louis' house. But the relationship soured one day, when Jerry discovered Louis' penchant for wearing women's clothes.
This is my room, homo! No, man, I've been sleeping here this whole time.
He tells a guy that he believes Louis is a homosexual, and if he ever gets the chance, he's gonna kill him.
Kenda begins Lee Krause is actually a hate crime.
Hate crimes and the motivations behind hate crimes are based on stupidity and misunderstanding. What if he just makes the decision that Louis is the kind of person who doesn't need to be in this world?
If that's the case, then an investigation already fraught with political tension just got even dicier.
So now the question becomes, is this a passion crime or is it fear? We need to find somebody right now.
While working his latest homicide case, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has discovered that his victim, Louis Krause, son of legendary local politician Betty Krause, had a habit of inviting drifters and other ne'er-do-wells into his home. He's also learned that Louis had another, equally unusual pastime.
He's a transvestite. He would dress in women's clothes.
Kenda now believes house guests murdered him after learning of his alternative lifestyle. The prime suspect, a drifter named Jerry Baca.
Baca said that he would kill Louis if he got the chance, because he hates homosexuals, and he believed Louis was a homosexual. He's not just on the short list, he's at the top of the list.
But tracking down Jerry Baca...
Like Jerry Baca, these are people who live on the street. They don't pay taxes. They don't have a job. Their social security number is not active anywhere. They're not in a database. They don't know what a database is. So it's very, very difficult to find them in the first place.
To get to Jerry, Kenda and his team are forced to hit the streets.
So you have to revert to the oldest kind of police work. You start talking to your informants, who are other street people.
Hey, you know Jerry Baca?
Jerry who?
All right, man. Thanks.
Eventually, they hit pay dirt.
Hey, Beezy. How you been, my man?
Hey, what's up?
All right. You know Jerry Baca?
Man, yeah, I know him.
Indian guy?
Yeah.
You seen him lately?
Man, not since we were together in the camp. Somebody was telling me that he had checked up with some girl.
This guy knew he lived with a girl in an apartment complex.
Yes, can I help you?
Man, we're looking for Jerry Baca.
I don't know Jerry Baca.
We know he lives here. Thanks. Jerry! I've been looking all over for you, man.
Baca is the police have arrived. He's even more so when we tell him that we're there because he made threats against the guy that's been murdered.
Get up, come on.
Detectives haul Jerry Baca down to the station, where Kenda is waiting for him.
Can I get you anything? Coffee?
You can tell me why I'm here.
Why don't you tell me about your relationship with Louis Krause?
You could see it in his face like, uh-oh, they're going to accuse me of this.
There's no relationship. This is some dude, some
terms that he hates homosexuals, and he believed Louis was homosexual.
You don't like him enough to maybe want to hurt him, kill him? Did you get in a fight with him?
I don't really care what they do as long as they stay out of my business.
You gay, Jerry?
I ask him, do you have homosexual tendencies? And he comes unstuck.
Now look, I'm not some...
He really gets angry. So my thought is, well, I've touched a nerve there, haven't I, Jerry?
Did you ever threaten to kill him?
Kenda peppers an agitated Jerry Baca with questions about the death threats he made toward Louis Krause. But the more Jerry talks, the more Kenda realizes he's got the wrong guy.
He admits making these threats, but it was obvious to me that Baca was just running his mouth to his friends, and he wasn't serious about it.
Kenda has also taken note of a key detail in Jerry Baca's appearance.
Let me see your hands. Turn them around.
Face or his hands, nothing. Not so much as a scratch. That's good for him, bad for us.
All right, you're free to go.
Do I think he's involved? No, I don't. Do I think he's a very confused fellow? Yeah, I think he is.
With Jerry Baca crossed off the list, Kenda decides to delve deeper into the double life that Louis Krause appeared to be leading. He has his detective Colorado Springs small transvestite scene, but they don't drum up any new leads. Broadening his search, Kenda starts the painstaking process of identifying the rest of Louis Krause's former house guests.
We need to find all these amorphous people immediately. It's very difficult to do. So you just begin. It's hard to track down those people, but find out who you can determine was with him most recently, and then work from there. You have to put pressure on the informants, you better find this guy for me or I'm not going to give any more money, on and on.
Slowly but surely, Kenda and his team compile a list of names and begin tracking them down.
We are talking with everyone who'd lived with Louis for any period of time in the last year.
But with each interview, grows shorter.
Most of them can account for where they were, but none of them are hurt. And nobody could be in a fight like that and not be hurt.
Though nearly all of Louis' former house guests are ruled out, their interviews were far from fruitless. When detectives asked them who might have killed Louis, a common thread emerged.
Some of the people that we contacted mentioned that an individual named Vernon Marshall was living with Louis Krause as a 35-year-old black male with some type of skin condition causing his hair to be falling out in his head.
Vernon claimed his unusual hair loss was caused by exposure to napalm during a tour of duty in Vietnam.
He told his friends he was from New York City. He told other friends he was from Chicago. Vernon had a story about a lot of things, but he never had a consistent story about anything.
Describe Vernon as a truly frightening character.
He was the kind of guy that if you got in a minor argument with him over anything, over nothing, he would not let it go. He would continue to argue about the same thing into the next day.
Despite Vernon's bad temper, he and Louis had been fast friends. Not only had Louis welcomed Vernon into his home, he had helped him find work.
To see how close I can get it. Watch.
Vernon's only source of income was working with Louis, delivering papers.
Where's your next house at?
Right here.
All right.
And would occasionally get a paycheck from the circulation department of the newspaper.
But according to Kenda's sources, Vernon was taking advantage of his friend's generosity.
We heard from those who knew Louis that he thought Vernon, and he was very angry and upset over that.
Louis Krause was going to ask Vernon Marshall to leave, but he wanted to stay at Louis Krause's residence.
You took my money, Vernon. You took my money, Vernon, and I don't think I want you here anymore.
I'm not going back on the street.
You have to go.
What if Louis orders him out and it becomes mutual combat?
You have to go.
They begin to fight each other over one's eviction. At certain points in investigations, you can feel it. I would start looking at that name and looking at the picture and saying to myself, Vernon, you and I are going to be talking about this.
Ever since Louis Krause was found beaten to death, friends of his politically prominent mother, Betty, have been pressuring Lieutenant Joe Kenda to solve the case. Endless list of suspects before landing on one name. Vernon Marshall, friend and former house guest of Louis.
He's a transient type person. He knew a lot of the same people that Louis knew.
You've got a guy identified, you know his name, you don't know where he is, and you think if I could just get my hands on this guy, that would be helpful. Well, agonizing about that isn't going to do us any good. We just continue to maneuver. You continue to work.
Kenda decides to turn the huge public interest in the case to his advantage, calling in the local news.
There are many occasions when I've used the press. They, of course, would love to use me to improve their ratings by giving them information. Fine, I'll give you some. I'll give you some that might result in some return that I find to be useful.
Right now we have a person of interest.
Kenda provides them with a description of Vernon and information on his last known whereabouts.
Call our department immediately. That's all we have for now.
Thank you.
That evening, local news outlets run a story on Louis Krause's murder, featuring Kenda's detailed profile of his top suspect.
Right now we have a person of interest that we're looking for. His name's Vernon Marshall.
We're going to tell the public this information. It may generate a phone call. It might generate a lead.
The next day, the Colorado Springs Police Department is then proved to be helpful until someone calls in with a dramatic new lead.
The Colorado Springs Police Department received a telephone call from Leslie and Tammy Firkins.
I remember I came home and I turned on the news, and it showed that Louis Krause had been killed and that they were looking for Vernon. When I saw it on the news, I was like, oh my God.
Tammy had good reason to be alarmed. She'd seen Vernon hours ago.
So let's go over to the Firkins house and see what they have to say.
Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
They're a young couple. They're in their 20s. They want to be helpful.
So how do you guys know Vernon Marshall?
We actually worked together at the Gazette.
My husband got a job at Gazette Telegraph, which was the local newspaper, and he worked as a press cleaner, where he had to clean all the ink off the presses.
First,
He started getting really moody.
He was on probation for drugs. I think he lost his job, and his wife left him.
It's been a rough couple years on him, no doubt about that.
According to the Firkinses, Vernon was prone to sudden bursts of anger.
My dog just didn't like him. When Vernon come over, he would growl. And I always believe that if your dog doesn't like somebody, there's a reason for it.
It was during this time that to stay while he got back on his feet.
So what led you to call the office? What precipitated that phone call?
He called us last night and said that he needed to take a trip to Chicago.
Vernon called us in the evening, and he'd asked, hey, can you come take me to the bus station? I got a bus that goes to Chicago tonight around 9. It was raining that night. My husband Leslie went to pick him up.
By the time Leslie rolled up to Louis's house, the rain was coming down in buckets, so Leslie honked his horn outside.
When Vernon did come out, he was carrying 2 suitcases with him.
Hey, man, need a hand?
No, let's get what I got. All right. Did you drive him right to the bus station?
No, we came back here for a little bit.
Vernon had some time to kill before catching the bus, so Leslie brought him back to their place.
Hey guys, how are you doing? You look soaking wet. Here, take this.
According to Tammy, when she handed Vernon a towel, she couldn't help but notice his injuries.
He had swollen cheek, black eye, all the things that would look like he had been beaten up.
And I asked him, what happened to you?
Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah, I got in a fight. A couple guys tried to jump me, take my money, but I fought them off.
That looks really bad.
He said, I got jumped last night in the park by a connie, but they didn't get it. I fought back, and I was able to escape.
Why don't you go to the bathroom and clean up?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, just up the hallway, first one on the right.
Okay, thank you.
And he went in the bathroom, cleaned up, and I told my husband those marks are too fresh to have happened on last night. Something's wrong. But what do? Call the police and say, I think my friend did something? You can't really do anything at that point.
So it was muddy out?
Oh, yeah.
I saw mud. So we go in the yard.
Kenda leans down to take a closer look at the patch of mud near the front corner of the driveway. In doing so, he makes a startling discovery.
There are footprints in the mud, and there is damage on one part of the left shoe. They're the same sole pattern as the pattern we see at the crime scene in the victim's blood. To photograph and make plaster casts of those footprints.
In order to lift the shoe print, you spray hairspray on the soil, you let the hairspray dry, and then you pour plaster Paris on it and let the plaster Paris set up, and then you just lift the shoe print from the soil.
At the crime lab, technicians compare the shoe print from the Ferkinsons' yard to the one found at the crime scene.
Prints worn by Vern. And we know that Vern is at the crime scene within an hour of the time of death. And Vern is hurt. That adds up to a warrant for first-degree murder.
Kenda may have a warrant for his prime suspect, but by now, that suspect is long gone. Kenda and his team hope to pick up Vernon's trail at the bus station.
About the bus schedules?
Oh, that'd be me, but I'm on my break.
Fantastic. Detective Kenda, is it possible you could tell me what buses went out tonight?
Yeah, we had one for, Vegas, Denver, and another one for Chicago.
The only bus that hasn't arrived anywhere is the one due in Chicago the following morning. So if he's on that Chicago bus, we can find him on it.
But is Vernon Marshall really on that bus? To answer that question, thing to do, make a beeline for the Windy City.
You like being in the shadows? Let's bring you out here in the light, where everyone can see you.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is on the hunt for a drifter named Vernon Marshall, believed to have killed a politically connected but mentally challenged local man named Louis Krause. Vernon told friends he was taking a bus to Chicago. To catch him, Kenda is hoping that Vernon follows through.
You can't automatically assume that he's going to carry out the plan that he may tell other people. It's very possible that they may change their mind, they may get off the bus, and at that point we could lose track of them.
The bus in question is set to arrive in Chicago later that day. Gambling that Vernon's still on it, Kenda calls in a favor from Chicago PD.
When you contact another police department and explain to them that Vernon Marshall is wanted, it's clear that he is potentially armed and he certainly is dangerous. After you've killed once, after that it's just numbers.
When the bus pulls into the station, a heavily armed team of Chicago's finest is there to greet it. Passengers begin slowly filing off. Finally, out steps Vernon Marshall.
Vernon Marshall, turn around, face the bus. You're under arrest for the murder of Louis Krause.
The Chicago PD immediately called me from the bus station. We got your guy. Go. Glad you do.
Kenda and one of his lead detectives hop the next plane bound for the Windy City.
Worth of information. You called, we looked, we found. That's him, right in there. Thank you. They don't know anything about this case, and they don't want to know. They have their own cases to work.
Kenda sifts through the personal effects officers seized during Vernon's arrest. But he doesn't find what he's after.
We knew he left Colorado Springs with 2 suitcases. And we felt very strongly that those suitcases probably had crucial evidence to our case.
Hey, when he went to the bus station, he had 2 suitcases. Did you recover those? And they said, we didn't even think about that.
Kenda races back to the bus station in hopes that one of the employees noticed Vernon's bags.
Excuse me.
Yes, can I help you?
You had a bus come in from Colorado Springs this morning?
Yes.
I'm here to see if you got a couple pieces of unclaimed luggage that might have been on it.
Let me check that for you.
Thanks.
When the clerk picks up the blue one, he recoils.
Really stinks. Yeah, it does.
It's an odor Kenda knows all too well.
Whatever is in there is blood-soaked. And because it's contained and not exposed to the air, the blood is decomposing, it's putrefying, producing this unique smell. So the bus guy says, "Do you want me to open that one?" "No, I don't."
Recognize that, Vernon? Don't open it.
He looked at us and just kind of shook his head. "Oh, you don't want to look in there." "Really?" "Well, what do you suppose is in there, Vernon?" We find Vernon's clothing soaked in blood, shoes with the same print pattern that's seen at the crime scene, and they're covered in blood as well.
These about your size?
If you're going to kill somebody, it's probably not a good idea to take all the evidence with you and have it with you when I find you.
My life is over now.
My detective looks at him and says, "It'll be all right." He blurts out, "He's dead and I killed him." Well, that works for me, Vernon, and it'll work for a jury as well.
Kenda and his team now have enough evidence to piece together what happened. It started when Louis Krause began to suspect his old pal Vernon Marshall had been stealing money from him.
The day of the homicide, Louis Krause had planned to confront Vernon Marshall.
You took my money, Vernon. You took my money, Vernon, and I don't think I want you here anymore. I'm not going back on the street.
Vernon had no place to go. As Louis pressed him to either hand over the stolen cash or leave, Vernon's dangerous temper boiled to the surface.
Did Vernon just lose it and start wailing on Louis? Yeah, he did. Louis defended himself, but Vernon kept beating on him until he didn't move anymore.
He tried to clean up the scene, but because of the amount of blood, that was just an impossible task.
Vernon emptied Louis' wallet. It'd be enough to get him to Chicago. He then asked his friends Tammy and Leslie Firkins for a ride to the bus station.
When we assess everything that happened, Vernon and Louis got a relatively small amount of money. And it's that conflict and those circumstances that caused Louis' death.
On May 16th, 1986, Vernon Marshall pleads guilty to second-degree murder and is sentenced to 16 years in prison. City officials are pleased to see justice served for the son of their beloved former colleague.
They certainly expressed their gratitude to the Colorado.
However, that's not why Lieutenant Kenda remembers Louis Krause.
Louis Krause died because he didn't have the capacity to understand his fellow men. He didn't understand when people would take advantage of him. Someone did, and ultimately took his life. Very, very sad. That's why that case stays with me.
A mountaintop marathon is the best.
The victim was shot in the chest with a .25 caliber handgun.
Once that bullet's in your chest, it's in for the grand tour. They become a pinball in a pinball machine.
On the hunt for the killer, Lieutenant Joe Kenda uncovers an unusual trail of clues.
17 condoms in cellophane wrappers. That's a lot of condoms.
But to solve the crime, he'll need to summit a mountain of lies, innuendo, and muddled eyewitness reports.
We have to play this game to get to the truth. But that's the nature of the beast. You have to play a game. I'm good at the game.
August 18th, 1993. It's 3 days before the dawn.
The Pikes Peak ascent is a foot race up along Bar Trail up to the top of Pikes Peak.
For runners, it's a big deal, and you're getting a lot of people coming in from out of state to run that Pikes Peak Marathon.
That evening, as the sun sets over the mountain, it's easy to see why the race draws so many visitors to Colorado Springs.
It was one of those absolutely beautiful summer nights in Colorado Springs. You walked outside heaven.
But this picture-perfect scene is about to be ripped apart in the most violent way imaginable. In a shopping center, not far from Pikes Peak, assistant manager Joe Bricardo works the counter at a local drugstore.
I was working with a customer over in the camera department.
Suddenly, a man bursts through the door in a state of panic.
Call 911 right now.
I'm a deputy with the sheriff's department.
The lady I was helping identified herself as an off-duty sheriff's deputy, and she came out as well.
Don't touch him.
When they reach the victim, he's lying on his back. It's clear he's been shot in the chest. The off-duty deputy kneels down to check his vitals.
I'm not getting anything.
Find one.
Joe Bricardo tries his best to comfort the wounded man, but he's fading fast.
He was definitely in a deep sense of shock. I said that we're going to do everything we can to help you.
While the victim clings to life, sirens blare as paramedics race to the scene. Across town, Lieutenant Joe Kenda is ready to call it a day.
I had just got day at the office. I was going to sit down and get something to eat when the phone rang.
The moment Kenda answers,
hello?
He realizes dinner will have to wait. On the line is dispatch. There's been a shooting.
Where is it? I'll be right there.
The neighborhood was a commercial district, certainly not a high-crime area.
By the time Kenda arrives at the scene, paramedics have already rushed the victim to the hospital, and a small crowd has gathered in the parking lot.
Hey, folks, you mind making a hole here?
Excuse me.
Hey, Lieutenant.
How you doing?
All right.
What do we got?
White male, shot possibly twice.
My first mission when I get there is to see. What can you tell me?
We've got a couple of people that were in the pharmacy, say they didn't see anything. We've got another guy saying he thinks it was a drive-by, but he hasn't given us a whole lot to go on.
How old was the victim?
He looked to be mid-70s, maybe.
A 70-year-old man? I can't picture a 70-year-old man being a gangbanger.
Kenda scans the scene and notices a number of cars parked in the surrounding lot.
And found a vehicle in the parking lot that goes with him.
You've checked them all?
Yes, sir.
There are no cars unaccounted for. So he apparently is walking, either in this area or to and from this business, when he is somehow contacted and shot.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Why is he on foot? Why isn't there a car here that belongs to this person?
This is where the witnesses found the victim's directions. He said was over here and laying on his back. He had a single bullet wound to his chest.
Okay.
We are able to locate a small blood stain on the asphalt in the immediate vicinity where the victim was.
And then we were able to locate one shell casing.
What caliber is it?
It was a 25 caliber.
I look at that bloodstain and look at that small bullet casing, and my first thought is, uh-oh. If you're shot with a high-energy, large-caliber handgun, it's going to punch a hole in one side and punch a hole in the other side. Small caliber is a whole different problem. They are low energy, low velocity, enough punch to enter, but once that bullet's in your chest, it's... It is a nightmare for a surgeon. He can't possibly repair the structure damage fast enough. They're almost always fatal. Almost always.
As Kenda examines the shell casing, another piece of evidence catches his eye.
About 20 yards are 17 condoms.
Loose condoms, individually wrapped. They were multicolored.
That's a lot of condoms. What are they doing here? You've got a 25 caliber casing and a small bloodstain. You have an elderly man who's apparently been shot to death in front of a drugstore in a no-crime area at 9 o'clock at night, and there's 17 condoms in the parking. I haven't got a clue.
Lieutenant Kenda. Kenda tries to make sense of this bizarre scene when he gets a call from one of his men.
Go ahead for Lieutenant Kenda.
Sir, I'm at the hospital. That victim from the pharmacy shooting, he's been pronounced dead.
With the case now officially a homicide, the question of motive looms larger than ever.
The first officers in the scene assume personal robbery because of the muscle.
Do you have any belongings on this person?
10-4, he had a wallet and a set of keys on him.
Can you check the contents of the wallet?
There's a small amount of cash, credit cards, that kind of thing.
Well, I expect him to tell me that he's got nothing. He's got no wallet, no money, no ID. I'm really surprised to learn he's got everything. Well, that's not a robbery.
The notion of a deadly armed robbery may be off the table, but the victim's wallet...
Anything else that might help identify where he came from?
Sure, I got an Arkansas driver's license for a Robert Elsher.
He has an Arkansas driver's license. His name is Robert L. Elshire. So he's 1,000 miles from home at 9 o'clock at night. How did he get here? How did he get here?
It's just before midnight on August 18th, 1993, the annual Pikes Peak Marathon. As the athletes rest up for the difficult ascent, Lieutenant Joe Kenda and his team stand in the middle of a parking lot turned crime scene, wondering who shot and killed 71-year-old Robert Elshire and why.
I get a call from a detective at the hospital. Everything in his wallet says he's from the state of Arkansas, including his driver's license. How did he get here?
Sifting through the contents of Rhonda's men makes a discovery that might answer that question.
Oh wait, there's a business card here for a condominium complex just a couple blocks away.
10-4, I'm going to need you and Detective Ritz to go over there, take a look around, see what you find, and report back to me.
10-4.
In search of the victim's vehicle, a pair of Kenda's men make their way to the condo complex. Moments later, they find what they're looking for.
They do find a pickup truck with Arkansas plates. They run a listing on a handheld radio with the comm center, and it comes back to Robert L. and Helen Elshire. That's the truck.
Detectives shine their flashlights inside the vehicle, looking for clues. But their search is cut short.
A woman says, "Robert, is that you?"
Ma'am, we're with the Colorado Springs Police Department. Do you know a Robert Elshire?
Yes, that's my husband. What's happened?
Do you mind if we come up and have a word?
The woman identifies herself as Helen Elshire, Robert Elshire's wife.
She sees them approaching and puts her hand over her mouth and says, "Oh God, what has happened?" Because these aren't just police.
What happened?
Ma'am, did I understand you correctly? You're Robert's wife?
Yes, I'm Helen Elshire. What happened to Robert?
Obviously, at that point, we are really bound to tell her that her husband is deceased.
Oh, we're sorry to inform you that your husband has passed away.
She collapses in his arms. It's the grief reaction that you dread witnessing, but you witness.
How could something like this happen? Especially when you've always tried to live your life, to be a good person, to do for others, which my father and mother did over and over again.
Detectives try to give Helen Elshire time to process the terrible news, but the clock is ticking.
There's a killer on the loose. We need information from Helen Elshire, and we need it right now.
I know this answer a few of our questions and really help out with the investigation.
We tried to find out why they're in Colorado Springs.
What brings you to Colorado?
Oh, we come every year. My husband loves to run the Pikes Peak Marathon.
She explains that her husband, Robert, is an avid runner, and it is his habit to come to Colorado Springs to run the Pikes Peak Marathon.
Someone would be there with him, and she'd be at the top of the mountain, waiting for him to arrive.
Helen informs detectives that earlier that evening, she came down with a splitting headache.
I just cannot get rid of this headache.
I'll go get you something.
Be careful. There was a drugstore nearby, and he's like, honey, I'll go pick up some medicine for you. And it was a nice summer night. He probably was just enjoying walking over there.
According to Helen, not long after Robert left, she heard sirens and got a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach.
She didn't know what it was or if it pertained to anything to do with my father, but she felt uncomfortable.
Sadly, Helen's instincts were correct.
Robert Elshire is a years old. He represents what America is supposed to be. You have a wife and 4 wonderful children. What better guy could there be than Robert Elshire? His only crime is to walk up a street trying to buy some medication for his wife.
If you can think of anything else, please give us a call. I'm so sorry for your loss. We'll show ourselves out.
Thank you.
Who would want a man like Robert Elshire dead? A fellow marathon runner with an axe to grind? Or perhaps someone from Robert's life back in Arkansas? Neither one of these theories sit well with Kenda.
You begin to wonder, where can we go? Who can we talk to? All you're looking for is a new idea. Every murder case has a point of despair, and sometimes that repeats. We're no closer to catching this guy than seen.
But no sooner has doubt set in than an eyewitness steps forward with game-changing information.
I'm Detective Kenda.
Her name is Julie Canfield Chandy.
You know something about this?
I might know something that happened earlier that might be related.
According to Julie, just moments after the shooting, she had a strange and nearly fatal encounter on the road adjacent to the drugstore parking lot.
Out in the middle of the street.
She says a kid runs in front of her car to the point to where she has to slam on the brakes because she almost hits him. He looks at her and she looks at him.
She described this party as Hispanic and that he was wearing a pair of gray pants at the time.
She's absolutely certain that they're gray.
Did you get a good look at him?
I got a pretty good look at him. He kind of stopped right in front of my car.
And embraces a second person, who she says is another kid, about his age, 15 or 16. But she doesn't get a good look at him.
And the two of them took off running towards the apartment complex just east of this location.
Armed with this information,
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Kenda takes another look at the pile of condoms and is struck with an idea.
Do they sell these? Anybody bought them in there? I thought they could have been stolen from there. Shoplifted. So I go to the drugstore and I contact the assistant manager.
Do you sell these in your store? No, sir, not those kind. No.
I show him these condoms. Do you sell those in your store? No, I don't, but I've seen them before.
And I had 3 kids coming in, probably.
That's when assistant manager Joe Bricardo tells Kenda the story of another odd encounter, one here.
3 young men came in the store. One was African American and 2 were Hispanic. The African American and the older Hispanic were probably about 16 or 17, and the younger one was probably 12 years old.
The black kid's got a really wicked scar on the left side of his face. A serious, apparent, obvious scar. Okay.
According to Joe Bricardo, he noticed the 3 boys were carrying something unusual.
They had a number of condoms with them, and they wanted to make sure we didn't think that they were stealing them. Okay. So I told them to put everything in a bag, and we'll keep it behind the counter.
Joe Bricardo tells Kenda that he asked the boys where they got all the condoms.
Well, there's an alcohol treatment center, and we took them out of there.
We did keep a little bit of a close eye on them because they seemed a little bit suspicious. After they did their shopping here and asked for their bag back with the condoms, and I gave it to them. I just kind of made a joke.
Planning on having a big weekend?
No, not really.
All right, have a nice day.
They left the store, and that was the last of it.
It's an unusual story, but Joe Bricardo's description of the condoms is a match for the ones found near the crime scene.
Now I can connect those condoms to a Hispanic male who's 15 or 16
Just like Julie saw, are these my shoot?
Listen up. I need all available units to set up a 20-block perimeter at every intersection. Check everything coming in or out. All right, let's get to it.
Because of the time frame, I tell the patrol supervisor I want 20 blocks. Now, you say to yourself, well, a person can run pretty far in a few minutes. Yeah, they can. But humans don't continue to run. They get tired, they get frightened, they want to see if they're being followed more than enough. If these people are still on foot, you're basically building a fishing net, and you're slowly going to pull the string. You catch a lot of fish, but you throw a lot of fish back.
Within minutes, Kenda's dragnet snags its first catch.
How you doing? Keep on driving. Come on, get to this, come on. Come on. Have a seat, watch your head.
Lieutenant Kenda. Moments later, Kenda is notified that patrolmen have a young male in custody who matches the description of one of his suspects.
3, I've got a possible homicide jacket. Blue jeans and white sneakers. Good, take him to the station. I'm on my way.
We find a guy. He's a Hispanic male. He's 17 years old. They asked him where he's been. He names the liquor store in the complex where our victim was shot. He's not a throwback. He's a keeper.
Just days before the Pikes Peak Marathon, 71-year-old runner Robert Elshire has been gunned down in a shopping center parking lot. After setting up a 20-block perimeter around the crime scene, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has reeled in a promising suspect.
We find a guy named Jerry Chavez. He's a Hispanic male. He's 17 years old. He's evasive, and he's wanted on warrants. Oh, I like him. So
Jerry Chavez fits the general description of one of the young men identified by drugstore manager Joe Bricardo and motorist Julie Canfield Chandy.
They asked him where he's been. He names the liquor store in the complex where our victim was shot. That's excellent. So you're telling us you were there?
Detectives escort Jerry Chavez down to the station. A few minutes later, Kenda joins him in...
Jerry, right?
Yeah.
His initial attitude is basically drop dead. He's a typical unhappy customer. He hates the police. He doesn't mind telling you that.
Jerry, why don't you tell me what you were doing in that neighborhood where they picked you up?
I was going to the liquor store.
Kenda puts up with Chavez's bad attitude for a minute, then informs him he's being questioned in connection to a homicide.
Well, the reason you're here, Jerry, is because there was a homicide in that shop.
His whole demeanor changes. That scares him, because he knows that that's trouble that doesn't stop.
A murder. And I got a feeling you know something about that.
No, I don't.
He puts 2 and 2 together and says, wait a minute, I was in a different liquor store. He's already changing his story, not even in response to questions. He's a suspicious guy. Is he our guy? I don't know, but I certainly don't know to look into him further.
Kenda decides the best thing to do at this point is to turn Jerry Chavez over to the crime lab.
Well, here's what we're going to do, Jerry. I'm going to take your clothes. I'm going to have them tested for gunshot residue and blood spatter.
Man, whatever you need to do.
You okay with that?
I didn't do this.
All right, stand up and take them off.
We're going to test you for gunshot residue on your hands. We're going to inspect your clothes. We're looking for high-velocity blood spatter.
Chavez's clothes and hands through the GSR kit. But the tests come back negative, and Kenda has no choice but to cut his petulant suspect loose.
Jerry's a jerk, but being an asshole is not against the law. If it were, we'd have to erect a fence around the state of Colorado and inform everyone they're in custody. We have to go with what we can prove, and right now we can't prove much.
With Jerry Chavez off the hook, counting his perimeter inch their way closer to the crime scene. But after hours of searching, they're no closer to apprehending their suspects. So Kenda decides it's time to call in the big dogs, or to be more accurate, the big dog, a canine officer named Axe.
A dog is used by law enforcement agencies as a sophisticated tool. We have one dog that's a tracking dog. His whole...
Kenda hopes Axe can help determine which direction the perpetrator or perpetrators fled once they shot Robert Elshire. It doesn't take long for Axe to hit pay dirt.
He picks up a scent and starts to track north. Now, our witness Julie says our guy is north of the scene running across the street, and this dog is headed in that direction like a torpedo.
And to an apartment complex, 53 yards away. Then, without warning, Axe stops dead in his tracks.
He stops near a bush and sits down. It's an alert signal. There's something here, guys. We look under this bush, and there is a Ruger target pistol, Mark I. It hasn't been thrown under this bush. It's been placed there.
Kenda orders off on, following their canine's lead.
The dog continues to work the scent. There's an 8-foot wooden fence separating this complex from private homes. And what's there on the ground?
We got more condoms.
8 more condoms. Same ones, same brand. So this is no question. These are the guys from the parking lot. There's our condoms.
Then, in an instant, Axe's ears perk up. Officers notice 2 figures moving in the shadows.
Police, step out where I can see you!
2 kids come out of the area where we found the first gun.
Police canine, stop or release the dog!
He challenges them with the dog. Now the dog is going bananas. Everybody's afraid of dogs.
Don't move, hands on your head!
They stop dead in their tracks.
Kenda approaches the young men.
Individuals, both roughly fit the description. One is a Hispanic male. He says he's 17. His name is Alan Lucero. His friend, his name is Damian Nicholas. Damian says that he is 17 years old.
What you guys doing here? Nothing. Chilling outside. Yeah.
It appears Kenda has found his suspects. But as he examines the boys more closely, he notices some discrepancy in the eyewitness descriptions he's been given.
We're looking for a black male with a severe scar on the left side of his face. Damian is a black male. He does not have a scar on his face. We're looking for a Hispanic male in gray pants.
They're in the right location, they're same physical build, but we don't have anything to say they're actual suspects, so we treat them as witnesses.
After hauling the boys downtown and placing them in and Detective Brian Ritz start with Damian Nicholas, who seems eager to cooperate.
Damian is friendly. Damian's a nice-looking kid. Seems not nervous at all, not the least bit upset. Wants to be helpful to the police.
You didn't happen to go to the drugstore tonight, did you?
No, not to the drugstore.
You didn't? Can you tell me what you did tonight?
Well, what I did is, me and Alan, we were with my girl all night.
Damian next of their night watching movies at the home of his girlfriend, Vita Mays. After that, the 2 boys left.
So they were walking back when the officers came across them.
And when we seen you guys, we also seen the dog. And we were just scared, so we just started running.
Damian is providing me very plausible information. He's very forthcoming. His detail is fairly good. It's enough to where I began to question whether or not he was actually in.
Just stay put for a little bit.
But before Kenda will release Damian, he wants to sit down with Damian's friend, Alan Lucero, who wastes no time contradicting his friend's sworn statement.
What can you tell me about this shooting outside of the pharmacy? Maybe I know who did it.
Well, you say maybe. What's maybe mean? If you think you know who did it, then you better tell me.
71-year-old retiree Robert Elshire was in town to run the annual Pikes Peak Marathon to buy aspirin for his wife. He was viciously gunned down in a shopping center parking lot.
You just get sick to your stomach that these people come here to Colorado to enjoy the beauty of the Rocky Mountains and wind up in the middle of this nightmare.
Thanks to the help of a trusted canine officer, Lieutenant Joe Kenda has tracked down 2 potential suspects.
Don't move, hands on your head!
17-year-old Damian Nicholas.
So they don't closely match these people.
that we believe we're looking for, but they are in this area, and it's worthy enough to speak to them about what they may know.
After questioning Damian Nicholas, Kenda is all but convinced these young men aren't the guys he's looking for. But when he questions Alan Lucero...
What can you tell me about this shooting outside of the pharmacy?
Alan makes a shocking revelation.
What's maybe mean?
I do know it's Damian Nicholas.
He says his friend, Damian, shot and killed Robert Elshire.
Can you tell me about it?
We started off, we were at his girlfriend Vita's house.
According to Alan, around 8 o'clock, he and Damian left Vita's house and headed over to the Valley High Shopping Center, where Damian got an idea.
He had a gun. He had more than one gun, and he was going to see if he could find somebody to rob.
Alan walked across the street to wait for Damian. Moments later,
give me money.
He heard a gunshot and saw his friend running towards him.
All of a sudden, he comes running back across the street, says he shot the dude, and we better run. And we ran. It was a 22, and he had a 25 auto, and he had a 380. He had two guns, and we threw them in a yard in the neighborhood.
Alan Lucero's story seems to gel with the evidence, but there's one unexplained detail that's still nagging at Kenda.
We found a bunch of condoms in the parking lot and more by the fence. What's up?
In the parking lot. I guess they fell out as we were running.
That's when Kenda has an epiphany.
We find out, in all probability, we have different individuals. Alan Lucero and Damian Nicholas were not the same individuals that had walked in with the condoms when they went into that store.
For Kenda, now comes the hard part, verifying Lucero's version of events.
You say, Alan, that you know where these other two guns are. Yes, I do.
And you can take us to him?
I can.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Alan Lucero leads Kenda and his team back to the apartment complex where he and Damian were initially picked up.
He pointed out where one gun was hidden. That was the gun we'd already recovered. He also pointed out the location where they threw some guns over the fence.
Officer, do you mind going around checking?
We recovered two separate weapons from that, one which we believe was possibly...
With the likely murder weapon in hand, Kenda returns to the station, now fairly certain the cooperative, cool-headed Damian Nicholas has been feeding him a pack of lies.
It's about time you start telling us the truth.
What do you mean?
The truth, not that same bull story you already gave us.
And now we confront Damian.
That is the truth. That's what happened.
Damian denies everything. Sticks to his initial story. This is your friend, and he is naming you as the person responsible.
Your boy Alan gave you up.
In addition to naming you, he just sent our officers out with him to find the murder weapon, and they came back here with it. That's a big problem, don't you think, Damian?
It's in that moment that Damian's calm, collected demeanor comes crashing down.
Damian finally just breaks down and says, wait a minute.
Didn't shoot anybody. Alan shot somebody.
So now Alan's the one that did this?
Yes, Alan was the one who shot him.
Kenda's prime suspects have just turned on each other, and though Kenda suspects one of them murdered Robert Elshire, the question now is which one?
It's annoying that we have to play this game to get to the truth. I'm good at the game.
And you have some way you can back this up? You can prove this to us?
Kenda pushes Damian for deep the story.
There's some gray pants.
You'll find a pair of pants at my girlfriend's house that Alan was wearing. You get them and bring them here, and you'll see that they don't fit me. I wasn't wearing them.
You can even try them on me. They're not mine. They're his.
Those are Alan's pants.
Yes.
Eyewitness Julie Canfield Shandy identified the shooter as wearing a pair of gray pants the night of the crime. If Damian is telling the truth, this could be the evidence Kenda has been looking for.
Okay, Damian.
As the sun begins to rise over Colorado Springs, Kenda's men pound on the front door of a nearby residence. A man answers the door.
Morning. What can I help you, sir? Colorado Springs detectives.
It's the father of Damian's girlfriend, Vita Mays.
Do you mind if we come in and talk to her? Of course, come in.
Her father is more distressed than she is.
She's more interested in the standard juvenile code of silence. Never telling a
Damien?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Damien, your boyfriend?
Refusing to play her game, Kenda peppers Vita with questions.
The reason we're here is because your boyfriend Damien and his friend Alan are in a lot of trouble.
Look, I don't know anything.
Eventually, Vita starts to crack.
Damien's your boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
And he was here last night.
Yeah, he came over.
Then you... Well, yeah, I know Alan. Great, because they were here last night.
Tell me what happened.
Vita tells Kenda that she, Damien, and Alan all watched the movie at her place.
And did they leave at any point?
They went to go play basketball.
According to Vita, after the movie was over...
You ready to get out of here?
Yeah. Damien and Alan left, but then returned a few hours...
What happened when they came back?
They were really sweaty, and so they changed clothes.
At that point, Damien asked Vita to hold on to his gym bag. Then he and Alan headed back out into the night.
Is that bag here? Well, yeah, that black bag there on the floor, that's Damien's bag. Great.
Go ahead and open it.
We open the bag. There's a box of 25 auto ammunition. We're looking around the bag. Whose pants are those? Those are Alan's.
When did you leave him here?
Last night.
So these are the pants that he was wearing?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
This gray pair of pants had some shell casings or live rounds, 25 caliber, in the pockets. Another piece of evidence that ties everything to our scene.
Detectives collect the evidence and deliver it to headquarters for processing, except for the gray back to the interrogation room where Alan Lucero is being held.
Recognize these, Alan?
No.
And throws them at his suspect.
Try him out.
Right now? Yeah, right now. Put him on.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is sitting in an interrogation room across from 17-year-old Alan Lucero. Lucero, along with his friend Damian Nicholas, are the prime suspects in the shooting death of 71-year-old marathon runner Robert Elshire. Is responsible.
Why is he ratting me out? I didn't shoot anybody.
Now we have the ultimate problem. We have two perpetrators accusing each other.
Kenda's men have discovered a pair of gray pants that Damien and his girlfriend claim Alan Lucero was wearing the night of the murder. Pants that match a description of the shooter given by eyewitness Julie Canfield Shandy. Kenda decides to use this evidence as a chance to play hardball with Alan Lucero.
These aren't your pants?
And I threw them at him.
Try him out.
Right now? Yeah, right now. Put them on. He puts them on, they of course fit perfectly. It's amazing, isn't it, Alan?
With the gray pants, the discovery of the likely murder weapon, and Julie Canfield Shandy's eyewitness account, Kenda is ready to charge Alan Lucero with the murder of Robert Elshire.
We've got a very good circumstantial case against the tighter than that. I need a statement. Tell me you did this.
Unfortunately, Alan Lucero's age complicates the situation.
Alan is under 18, which means legally he is a child, which means his parents are required. Before we can take a legal statement.
Before we start, I need to inform you of your rights. You have the right to remain silent.
Was his father. Not Alan, just the parents.
Alan's mother and father urge their son to tell the truth. Alan sticks to his original story.
I need you to tell me why you shot that man.
I didn't. Damien did.
Lucero, like all other kids his age, they present this attitude if they're bad guys and they're not afraid of the police, but in reality they are.
Kenda counts on this fear to get his
When you ran across the street and almost got hit by a car, and you stopped right in front of that car, do you remember that, Alan? And he looks at us and he says,
Did she see my face?
Yeah, Alan, she saw your face. And you see it. He is cornered now. He's absolutely cornered.
I shot him.
When you finally makes you feel very good.
Alan explains his family had recently fallen on hard financial times, and he committed the crime to help pay the bills and keep from being evicted. But at this point,
Kenda's no longer concerned with the why, so much as the how.
We asked Alan where he came by these weapons, and he said Damien had all three of them.
According to Alan, on the night of the pull-off an armed robbery.
You ready? Yeah, man. Let's go.
Damien agreed, and after leaving Vita May's house, they camped out in the drugstore parking lot, scoping out potential victims.
They actually had waited outside this drugstore, and nobody was coming out.
So Damien went to the other side of the street to wait, but I stayed there.
Moments later, Alan spotted Robert drugstore.
A guy came around and I tapped him on the shoulder.
Hey, give me your money.
He took a swing at me, and I stepped back, and I said, I'm going to shoot you, and I fired the gun. And he went down on the ground, and I screamed, I'm sorry, at the top of my lungs, and then I ran.
Alan Lucero claimed that he forgot to actually steal Robert Elshire's wallet. Once safely across the street, Alan hooked back up with Damien Nicholas.
They have this cockamamie juvenile scheme of hiding the guns and changing clothes and stumbling around in this neighborhood until they get picked up by the police.
When Kenda confronts Damien with Alan's confession, he confirms the story. Both boys are charged as adults.
Damien is a participant. He provides the weapons. He is a lookout at the time the incident occurs. In the law, eyes of the law, is equally responsible.
Folks in Colorado Springs are shaken by this senseless crime. And when the Pikes Peak Marathon begins 2 days later, victim Robert Elshire is remembered by his fellow runners.
The race event coordinators of the runners in the race that day would wear a ribbon on their arm in memory of my dad.
The absolute most horrible part of this is Robert Elshire, a 71-year-old man who is in Colorado to run up a mountain because he likes to do it. And somebody takes his life for nothing.
Lucero and Damien Nicholas are found guilty of first-degree murder. They are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
These people were kids. They decided to act like adults. And when you act like one, I'm going to treat you like one. They got what they deserved. That's what justice means. We weren't going to rest until we found these people.